Bruh. Hey, got it. Nailed it. What's good, fam? Good to see you. How you doing, fam? Hopefully well. Welcome. So here's what we're doing. Here's what we got going on today. All this third anniversary hype that's been going on lately, there's new players coming in left and right. There's some people going out too, but what you gonna do? It's just the state of the game. But with all these new players coming in, I got a lot of people coming into my stream and asking me when I'm playing. I got a lot of people coming into other people's stream that I moderate for, that I hang out in regularly. Hey, what do I do to get started? How do I even navigate my way around this crazy? There's so much on the screen. I don't know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. Help. I get a lot of what do I spend my lapis on early, the premium currency in the game. I get a lot of should I pull for X unit, Y unit? Do I need to re-roll? There's a lot of questions out there that I get from new people all the time. And I thought, because there's so little content designed specifically to address those inquiries, I might as well take it upon myself, you know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, I figure, I put together a couple of different videos. We talk about the interface, some early game goals, mid game goals, what units you need, whether or not you should even reroll possibly. It depends. It's not a whole video worth, but you know what I'm saying. We're going to talk about some beginner stuff. I really want to help everyone that wants to play the game get their foot in the door, get in here and, start enjoying the activities. The first things first, you should probably decide if you're going to re-roll your account or not. If you don't know what that is, basically the premise of re-rolling in mobile games is anytime you have a game where there's a tutorial that gives you some special premium currency, it gives you special summon tickets so you can get new units and stuff, as long as it's not a fixed unit or a fixed set of units, you can basically just delete your account, run the tutorial again, and try to get better units on the tutorial over and over. This game is no exception. At the end of the tutorial, you're going to get one guaranteed unit, a couple of story units, some lapis, which is the premium currency again, but also you're going to get 5 summon tickets. You can start popping them off on summon banners. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you don't. So you have to decide, is it worthwhile? Do you really want to spend the time to re-roll for a couple of very specific units to make your early game much, much easier than it otherwise would be? Now, I gotta say, full disclosure, I didn't do that, but also, had I known that it was a thing, I probably would have. If you want to see an entire video based on re-rolling and like how to do it, based on what, talking about what units you should probably get if you're gonna go for it at all, we could do that, but that'll be more like a if the comments suggest that's something you want to talk about. I will say briefly, if you do re-roll, these are the ones you're looking for. I'll explain that more in a different video if there's a need for it, but if not, bam, these are the 8. Alright, but this video is already going to be long enough, so we're going to, moving by that, let's get to the interface stuff, because I really want to talk about the way you can navigate this whole thing, what all this stuff means. There's a lot on the screen. Yours is going to have a little bit less if you're a brand new player, like day 1 through maybe like day 2 or day 3, but if you've been playing for a couple of weeks at this point, you already have kind of a feel for it. Maybe you just got some questions, but I'm trying to widen net. I'm covering everybody. So with that said, I'm just going to start top left. We're going to go all the way down to bottom right. Whole thing explained. We're really, that's who this is for, We're going to get real nitty gritty. We're going to get real down to the granules, get down to the sand of it, I'm saying, the pocket lint. So buckle up, because we're going to get into it. Alright, so this thing up here, this is your ad wheel. The ad wheel is something you are every day. You can watch 5 ads. I've already done mine for the day, but you can play 5 commercials, watch them, lets you do a little roulette spin, gives you some prizes. It'll give you these little energy potions that refill your energy 10 at a time, 10 per bottle, or it'll give you these lapis rocks. That's the premium currency in the game. After you watch 100 of them, which is 20 days if you're staying on top of it, you get 500 more lapis, just right off the top for free. Easy peasy, nothing to it. A lot of this is going to be quick to go through, but some of it won't, so here we go. This up here is where you're going to find, as it says on the icon, your quests. There's 4 different kinds. There's daily quests, rookies, advanced, and as you can see, parameter. Now, parameter is really end game, so these don't matter for the sake of a new player guide. Just ignore these ones. These advanced quests are probably not something you're going to be dealing with until a little bit later on in the game, I would imagine. Probably mid-game-ish. So ignore that for now. Rookie quests, these are going to be a star of the show for you. And then also, this right here, your daily quests, you're going to be knocking these out every single day. I'm not going to be telling you what the daily quests are because they change every day, and I trust that you can read. So I don't think that it's necessary to explain something that bare bones to anybody, so I'm not going to insult your intelligence with that. What I am going to do is say that you need to be focusing on these rookie missions. They're super, super important. We'll talk more about this at the very, very end when we wrap up the early game goals. But just keep remembering in your head, rookie, daily, very important. These ones are a big deal. This is where you're going to find your daily login. There's not much to explain there. It'll show you when you log in anyways. This treasure chest is actually a shortcut. It'll take you to a particular part of the store tab down here on the bottom. So we're not going to worry about that right now because eventually we're going to talk about the store anyways. This is the news tab. Basically in news, everything is sorted into 3 different categories. There's events, which is these blue ones, the notices, which are the yellow ones, and important, which are the red ones. This is going to cover everything from events that are coming up to when the maintenance is every week, what you can spend special currencies on and stuff. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing really to cover here. Just keep an eye on it in case you want to keep up to date with things. If you're anything like most people, myself included, you'll get a bunch of these that say they're new, and then you'll click on them so they'll say red, and then you won't read them. That's just how it is. A couple of them you'll want to pay attention to, like if there's a particular explanation for how a summon banner works, or if you have new units coming out, it'll give you some information going on in here. But other than that, and like details for step-up summons and that kind of thing, news tab is... it's not that important, if I'm being honest. It's not great. This little envelope here is going to be your mailbox, where you're going to pick up all your login bonuses. It's going to be where you pick up all the quest event clear rewards. It's going to be where you get the rewards for doing raids and story events and that kind of thing. This is pretty much going to be the majority of where you get your compensation lapis. Sometimes it's applied during maintenance in really weird situations, but generally speaking, this is where you're going to be looking for almost all of your new pickups. All you gotta do is hit claim all to get everything, refresh, deletes all your red ones. Easy peasy, nothing to it. Don't even have that much to talk about here because it's very, very straightforward. This is where we're gonna get into something a little more hairy. The menu tab? There's a lot to unpack in here. Pretty much everything has like submenus and submenus and submenus. So as a veteran player, I've been playing this game for about 2 years and 8 months at the time of recording this. I can tell you what you will and won't want to care about. All 4 of these that don't say customer support, ignore them forever. Your player info is where you're going to be setting your emblems and changing your player name is where you're going to be doing your greeting and stuff. So if you are interested in making sure that you have more than just the default message down here, if you want to make sure you're up to date with what emblem you have equipped, these are like unlocked for special different criteria. The things that these cover, it's like this has to do with trophies for the most part, and sometimes arena, sometimes Coliseum, which you will almost always ignore, don't worry about that, and then boss fights. When I say trophies, that kind of leans into the next thing we're going to talk about here, this giant trophies tab. This is this game's version of achievements. Every time you complete a special action, every time you do something notable in the game, you're going to get a trophy for it. There are 3 different levels, bronze, silver, gold, for all the different trophies. You can read what each of them do yourself. I'm not going to hold your hand through that because I have too much respect for you for that. But as you do these, each one counts as 1 trophy, which sounds obvious, but when down here it says next and a number and a treasure chest for you, mine is already completed, but for you it'll say like next 10 with a treasure chest. It means 10 individual bronze, silver, or golds, not like 10 golds that you've achieved. So I know that can be confusing for some people. I've had that question a couple of times, like if this, like let's say you get Forger of Bonds bronze, this will advance 1. It is not counting how many completed sets you have, just individual marks. So consider each gold worth 3 points towards your next treasure chest, however many that is. Also in this tab, there is a whole separate thing called records. This is basically just your long game stats for people that are interested. Most people will have no real use for any of this information. It covers how many quests you've undertaken and completed, how many battles you've won, how much damage you've done in one turn. So for some like really in-depth interested people who like care about analytics and that kind of thing, if you're like really interested with that level of minutia in the game, then this is going to be interesting for you. But for the majority of people, I think this is probably not something to be worried about. And then once you get back out of there, there's this guides tab, and guides is basically your Pokedex, which sounds like it would be more like hint related, but not really. This is your bestiary, it's your item dex, your unit dex. This is literally just a collection of things you've amassed in the game. And then also it'll have slots for stuff that you haven't gotten yet, so you can know not what you're missing, but that you're missing something. For example, if we go to the units, you'll see that I have never awakened VV to 4-star, so even though VV is blue on his little 3-star base, it's question mark for his gold evolved version, because I've just never done that. Same with like Maria, same with Sabin, same with Kane and Edgar, you get the drill. But this is literally just a Pokedex where you can read some entries. You can also view animations here if you're interested. You can like make them attack nothing and make them like perform their different chants and magics and stuff. It's not all the animations for every character, so you can't like have them cast specific magic they know, but it is interesting for some people. This is probably the one that you're going to be using the most in case you want to go like look at an attack animation or something like that. Everything else in here, not that interesting. And then gallery is for like 3D images of a couple of the story characters. You're not missing a whole lot. So to summarize really quickly, the things that matter in here: player info, trophies, customer support, and then also a couple of things and options, but mostly not so much. So even though there's a lot here, a lot of it can just kind of be sidestepped. Everything else is going to be a lot quicker to explain. Over here, whatever is above the Vortex is the current mission, the current like a special event. So if this is a raid, it'll have the raid tab. If it's a story event, it'll have a story event banner. Vortex is how you get to all of the other special events, not just the featured one. It's also where you can find some enhancement vortexes, which honestly, we'll talk about this on another video in a more in-depth manner. Same with the Nemesis tab. There are several things in here called chambers, the Chamber of the Fallen, Chamber Arms. We're going to be talking about that like on its own separate thing, so it's not too much to worry about right now. And then also there is the arena here, which will unlock for you after you reach the royal capital of Grandshelt. Vortex will open once you reach the town of Mitra, so both of these should be unlocked for you in the first like 20 minutes of gameplay, very, very quick. We're going to talk about arena more in its own separate thing too. Basically, all you need to know is that you walk in here and this is where you're going to fight AI versions of other players' teams for some rewards. But it is participation, not victory based. So even if you are brand new and you're just going to take a bunch of L's, go in here and just mash your head against the wall. Doesn't matter if you lose, you get the exact same prizes for participating. There are ranking prizes at the end of every week, but you don't have to worry about that, because if you don't participate in the arena, you weren't going to get ranking anyway, right? So you might as well just go in there, take the L, get some free stuff, and get out. World is where you're going to do the story mode. Not story events, which are a separate other thing, but like story, just default story mode. This is actually pretty important, and the main thing you're going to focus on as a new player, even into like probably the beginning of your mid-game time. Make sure you are just hammering out world mode all the time. It's free lapis, it's free experience, and at the end of seasons 1 and 2 you get special awards, so just really burn energy into world mode. I can't stress that enough. If I wasn't done with it, I would still be doing it, because honestly, it's such an insane amount of lapis. It's so crazy. Just really focus on this. Expedition is probably not for newer players, I wouldn't think, because the success rate of each mission is dictated by two things: investing items into the mission, and then also having units with stats that are high enough to boost the success rate. You probably, as a new player, will not have a lot of free, unused units just sitting around waiting to be put into these for several hours a day. This exploring the Moogle Cave one is different. This you should do, because I don't think it costs anything, and it just gives you TMR percent for free. We'll talk about more on that later, what TMR percent means, but this is a good idea. And when we talk about it later, I will be doubling back to this as its own separate point. Also, there is craft. This is where you can craft things. I'm not going to explain too much about this because it's very, very easy, very, very straightforward. And you're going to get the recipes as you play, which will explain themselves. But it is split into 3 different types. The only thing worth mentioning here is that crafting abilities is different than the other 2, in the sense that you will sometimes get a free extra thing. But when you craft something a bunch of times like this, you will get the items themselves, but also get these bonus fine L crysts. And these are important for other things later on. I don't know if there's another way to get those off the top of my head. So sometimes crafting abilities is going to be necessary even if you don't really want to do it. And sometimes it's a daily mission. So for the daily missions, just do abilities instead of the other ones. Because then you're going to be working towards fine L crysts anyway, right? It just makes the most sense. It's the most efficient choice. Trust me, there's not much more left. So espers is literally where you feed your espers and where you give them special skills. It's literally that easy. You feed them with enhance, you level them up with train, or you give them the skills that you have unlocked. Home takes you back to the same screen we're on now, not even a button. Units is broken up into 4 things, plus there's some stuff up here. This is its own separate video, so I'm not gonna bog you down with that right now. Plus, for like very, very beginning players, you're not really gonna need to worry about all this stuff right off the bat anyway, except for sell and enhance. Sell is exactly what it sounds like, so I won't explain. Enhance is where you level them up and increase their stats with things. So, end of explanation there. Believe me, it gets quicker. From here on out, now we're in the quick part. Items. This is exactly what it sounds like it is. You pick some items to take with you into combat. They are limited to how many you can take of each kind per battle, but it does auto-refill the slot every battle also. So that's kind of nice. Materials are your crafting bits and for leveling stuff up. Equipment is exactly what it sounds like. And your abilities this is actually your materias. So like attack plus 10 or 10 earth resist or whatever. That's what this is. The shop is where you're going to buy premium currency for real money. It's also where you can restore your energy with items or with the lapis. Slots is to expand your inventory so you can hold more stuff. This can be done with either lapis or special tickets that we get every now and again. These little purple login bonuses. Also, there are going to be magic keys that you can buy. Never do this. It is literally not just inadvisable. I can't think of a single person on Earth who's ever done this, and no one should. So, just pretend this one isn't here. Bundles is what that hotkey is up at the top that looks like a little treasure chest. It's mostly for real money, but some of them are lapis. Most of them are also very bad, and I wouldn't bother if I were you. Occasionally there's a good one in here, or a set of good ones in here, but mostly not so much. Except this thing, Bundle of Enhancement, is very, very good. You should get this because it costs in-game gil. This is basically free. Limited to once a day, but very strong. Night Training Package is very strong also for a very, very new player, but it wasn't in the game when I started. And when it came out, it was already like too late for me, so I just never bought it. But this is good beginner gear. I would pick it up if I was a new player, so look out for that. The unit exchange has to do with the TMR percent we were talking about earlier when we were going through the expeditions, and I mentioned there was one for exploring a Moogle cave, and it gave you TMR percent. Basically what this is every time you have a unit reach 100% of their Trust Master reward, this will go up when you feed them a Moogle. This will go up when you finish a stage with them about 10% of the time. When this reaches Master, you gain this item permanently. And then afterwards, if it's a unit you don't want anymore, you can trade them in for Trust Coins by sacrificing them permanently. So this is like selling for gil, but instead of gil, you get these cute little blue coins, and you can spend those blue coins in this blue coin item exchange. Now, I'm not going to tell you what is in here because it changes every couple of months. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, so maybe different, maybe not different. What I will say is that they are almost always very strong. I encourage you to look into this, and I'm just kind of explaining the UI right now, not necessarily every little item bit, but that's how this system works and where you're going to find it. An exchange shop is kind of similar, but instead of trust coins, this is for a special currency that you might get for a login bonus for a special event. This is like when you purchase on a step up and you get more units that way. Sometimes they come with coins. When you buy a bundle that's tied to a special event, sometimes those have exchange coins. And these ones are limited time. You'll see they have start and stop dates. Whereas the item exchange for trust coins is it updates, but it never expires per se. This will always be here. So this tab never goes away. The exchange shop, this rotates and will change frequently. Last two things, we're almost there. Summon as a part of the menu is split into 3 tabs, and these 3 tabs are rare summons. This is special event banners that will rotate out every 2 weeks. Standard summon is stuff that is here all the time. It doesn't rotate away. It always is just ready to go and here whenever you play. And limited time, it's like rare summon changes once every 2 weeks, but there's always a 2-week banner all the time, no exceptions all the time. Whereas limited time, these ones are more erratic and less reliable. Some of these are tied to like the anniversary, as you can see. Some of them are tied to like special one-time events. Some of them are tied to particular kinds of events. This is only for King Mog events, and King Mogs only come around once a month or so. Sometimes two, it depends how the rotation works out, but these ones are a little bit more erratic in their placement. And these guys are basically a version of this every week. So that's the difference there. And then friends, exactly what it sounds like. Lists your friends, requests from friends, search for people by ID. This is where you find randoms to add without an ID. This is where you send gifts. And this is a barren wasteland. You click it once, bring up this thing, and click away. And even though you didn't share a post, that counts for the sake of the daily mission. So that's all that is. Companion settings is its whole other separate video. This has a lot going on that is not part of a 20-minute explanation that it was meant to be like 6 minutes if I'm being real, but anyway. But we did it. That's the whole interface. We're there. We made it. Oh my goodness, that was supposed to be a lot shorter than it was. And we're supposed to talk about early game goals and stuff too, and guess what? Your boy is far too wordy for that, and there's a lot of UI in this game. So instead, because I value your sanity as much as mine, I'm not going to explain that right now. And instead, that's going to be a much, much, much smaller video that you can watch at your leisure tomorrow instead. And when I say much smaller, I mean like 4 minutes. So, if you manage to make it all the way this far into the video, because you are extremely patient, go ahead and put a lasagna in the comments for me, just so I know you made it. Also, man, thank you. Can't believe that. Holy cannoli. Alright, but early game goals, talk about it tomorrow. I'll give you the super TLDR right now. Save your lapis, do world mode, do rookie quests. We're good. That's your early game goals. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. It'll be like 4 minutes. Easy peasy. I'll try to keep most content. This is the exception. I'll try to keep most content between like 3.5 and 5 minutes if I can. This is a lot. This is a lot. I love you. I appreciate you. Catch me on Twitch. It's all in the description. You know what to do. Like, and you know what to do. We out of here. I'll just make a 3-minute intro about the UI. How long could it be?